I go live on Facebook. All right, here we are. Tim McManus with Greg Thompson, Long Island, New York. State Wars Hockey Podcast number 22. How's it going today, GT?
Tim, it's going. Just looking forward to Winter Wars next week. We've been going kind of crazy. I know you've been working a lot of hours trying to put this damn schedule together. People just don't realize how hard it actually is to do. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm showcasing right now, GT. We finally got our masks in. We had ordered some State Wars hockey masks for State Wars. Unfortunately, they arrived the day the tournament was ending. So these bad boys will be available at Winter Wars for the first time. So I hate masks, so I'm going to take it off. But just wanted to showcase
It's looking
the
sharp.
masks we got.
I like it. It's looking good. I have a feeling a lot of people will be getting them at Winter Wars.
Yeah, I hope so. Like to see people representing our brand everywhere,
Yeah.
A lot to talk about today, Talk about Winter Wars first. You mentioned Winter Wars East, or we're calling it Not So Winter Wars this year. Being held next weekend out in Pennsylvania, Sportsplex in Feasterville, and the Marple Sports Arena. So we're going to have games going on both facilities, at times having 4 rinks going. We have, I think, 83 teams playing next weekend, so not too shabby for a not-so-winter event.
Yeah, that's not too bad at all. I know the original event that was supposed to be held in March, I think we had roughly 140, Tim? Was that the number we were looking at?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would have been even crazier. But yeah, 80 teams for not so Winter Wars is pretty damn good. Obviously we can't be, we're not using the NERC Arena for this tournament, because all the rinks out in Philly are shut down. But considering that Sportsplex is in Bucks County, all the facilities and rinks in Bucks County are wide open. So, it's going to be cool using Marple again. I always enjoy going out to Marple, and our longtime friend Anthony Flynn is now in charge out there. So be good to see him as well.
Yeah, no, definitely looking forward to it. It's so hard with this scheduling because, normally we start 6 a.m. on Friday. Everyone gets out of school for the day. And, as luck would have it, opening week of school is this week coming up out on the East Coast. So kids are back in school that week. So getting kids out of school that day is difficult. So the whole tournament's not going to be starting until around 4 or 5 o'clock that day. And we'll basically have some 14U, 16U, 18U teams playing to start the tournament. And they get right into junior and adults for the night. And majority of youth games will go on Saturday and Sunday, except for a few that'll get a game in on Friday night.
Cool. When do you think we'll be done with that schedule, Tim, so people, have a heads up here?
We'll have it out today, I hope. Hopefully by this evening. This podcast kind of interrupted my scheduling with it, and had to take my middle one, Casey, to a ear doctor checkup today, out about a half hour from home. So my whole day has been kind of running around. My wife went back to work yesterday, so she's gone. So I've been playing Mr. Mom and trying to get a schedule done at the same time, which, as you'll learn one day, is not very easy.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we did have the baby shower over the weekend. So I'm surrounded in many gifts, around the room. So I've been slowly putting together some baby stuff. The bedroom's coming along. We got the crib up and the dresser up, and did a little painting and spackling myself. I wasn't too crazy on the spackling, but yeah, I just got to do some touch-ups, and then we could kind of finalize the room. So yeah, slowly but surely getting there, Tim. And a month from now or so, a month and a half, there'll be a little one here. So it's kind of scary.
Oh yeah, for sure. A lot of screaming in the background while we're trying to do our podcast.
Yeah. So yeah, it's exciting.
Let's talk a little bit about the divisions we got going with Winter Wars here. So, we are going to have a pro division. Not as strong as obviously the Palma Pro over the summer, but pretty good for an East Coast tournament. We got Mission Black Ice playing. We have Tour Roadrunners playing.
Yeah, two of
Yeah,
the finalists of Power Pro. So we have the two best teams, in the country right now playing in the East tournament. So
yeah. Oh, for sure. And just like Black Ice, Jay Miro loves to stack his team when he can. He grabbed Shane Fox from our team to jump in with them, and even the old man. I said last night that Greg Thompson's pulling a Ray Bork. He jumped on Black Ice. I know Rink Rat and a couple teams asked Greg to play, but he decided to jump on the number one team.
Yeah, Jason asked me. He always asks me. We're really close with each other. So yeah, we talk all the time, and he's like, you want to play? Just let me know. We got an open spot, and this was weeks ago. So I texted him the other day, and I said, listen, if you're still looking for a guy, let me know. And yeah, playing with the Black Ice guys. I'm familiar with those guys. I used to play Pi with a lot of them, and I've known them all, for a long time. So be nice to skate with them. But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing in the division. It should be a fun one.
Yeah, and then we got Rink Rat, like I mentioned, has a team. A lot of guys from Cali. I know Jerry Osterkamp, Joaquin Chavera coming out, Hayden Maxwell, Mason Pinkerton. Some of the Rink Rat guys. I know Andy Cripps, I think, is playing with them. Brandon Hawkins might come out and play with them, which would be nice. I know I reached out to Hawk for them. So we'll see if he could come out. And, so they have a team. And then the Rink Rat Liberty group, who have made their debut at State Wars this year in the Palma Pro. The Inferno coming out with a team, and I think they're going to be a team to watch. They were making their debut this year at Palma Pro. And the Iska Grizzlies as well are playing. So, overall, 6 teams. I think it could be obviously, I always put Black Ice a step above everyone in a tournament like this, that they probably have more of their full team there, and then you replace a guy missing or two with yourself or a Fox. But I always notice in these Winter Wars tournaments, the teams like the Liberty and the Inferno, they work so hard that I've seen them give teams like Black Ice fits in that tournament. Rink's a little bit small, not too small, but a little smaller than a huge rink that we're used to playing at. And it's going to be interesting for sure. We've never had this tournament after State Wars when guys have played a lot of games. So that may change things a little bit because guys are been playing a little bit. Usually that tournament's in March when guys haven't been playing much. But I think it's going to be a pretty good 16 pro division.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm looking forward to playing in it, and it's going to be real competitive. A lot of the kids who did go back to school, I'm not sure if they're going to be coming in for the weekend. Some of the maybe Roadrunner kids, Del Mortes and the Burgers, and the brothers. But I'm not sure, if guys are coming in for the weekend or what. But should be fun. Should be interesting. And Rink Rat, it's pretty cool to see them. Last couple of years, man, they've been traveling out for the tournament, so it's good to see them again, playing and coming out east. So should be good.
Yeah, they've come out before to play. And I know Dan Maxwell, the coach, is still working on a couple guys. I think he said he had Ryan Perry originally playing. Now Ryan Perry looks like his name might actually be on the Iska Grizzlies roster, unless there's a different Ryan Perry out there. So that'll be a little interesting, especially if Iska plays the Rink Rat team. But I think it'll be a good division, and hope for some upsets there.
For sure. Now, do you want to go over some of the other divisions and maybe throw some names out?
Yeah, let's talk about some. What else we got? And then we got a junior division. So in the junior division, we have the Tour Roadrunners playing in that as well, which. Again, a lot of it's the same guys. I'm sure Joey D and the boys will be playing with that. So that's the one team there I always look out for. I know Tyler Kraft had put together with Jay Muro a Pennsylvania Black Ice team. So, I know a lot of guys are slow at getting your rosters, Greg. So jump in here if you know rosters that I don't.
Yeah, no, I'm still waiting for a bunch, Tim.
All right, so I know Derek Schultz, I think, is playing with them, and and some of the PA guys. I'm sure they'll be good. Then you got a couple teams from the past here. I know New York team, the Red Army, they're calling themselves, out from New York. They brought a team out. The Rink Rack Liberty, a new team from New Jersey. I know Nick Minerva put that team together. He's been playing pro ice hockey and whatnot. So he put a team together. The Taurus All from Jersey and the Iska Grizzlies have their junior team as well. And I know the Grizzlies are always usually pretty dangerous in the junior division also.
Yeah. No, it should be a strong division. It's good to see Kuhn bring the Red Army group back, formerly known as the Terror. They were called at one point. So it's good to see them back in the mix. I'm not sure how they're going to be able to compete. I'm not sure who's on their roster yet, but should be good. Obviously Roadrunners are always good. So, yeah, looking at that division, Black Ice is obviously going to be a top team. Taurus Salt, I'm sure they'll be pretty solid as well. And the Liberty, I think overall it's going to be a really deep division. And, I'm not too sure if one team is better than the next, but, time will tell.
Yeah, juniors are always interesting because guys are playing pro and junior,
Yeah.
running back and forth. Usually juniors are playing late night games and whatnot, but always a fun division to watch. Andrew Otto confirmed here on Facebook that yes, they do have the Ryan Perry playing with them. And PJ Tallow, our buddy from St. Louis, had jumped in here, said, "Looking good, buddy," to Greg Thompson. So thanks for the shout out to me, PJ. Yes, Dan Maxwell is coaching the Rink Rat team, PJ. As he normally does, the group from California, not the George Brown Rink Rat group, so don't confuse those.
Thanks for the shout out, P. Yeah, so moving on to 18U, we have the California team coming up. A lot of them are the 16U team. I think there's one player difference. I think Jeremiah Domo, he's the only true 18U player, and the rest of the 16U team. But they'll still be very solid. You also have Taurus Salt, the Iska Grizzlies, Black Ice, Inferno, and Team PA.
Did you get the roster for the California team, Greg, for 16U and 18U?
Yes, I did. I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a NorCal, SoCal mix, I believe, right?
Yep. You got Sturbu, Nolte, and I don't have it off the top of my head, but it's it's a very solid group.
Yeah, Pure they're going by, and a big shout out to someone that a lot of times I think doesn't get the credit he deserves is a Will Shepard, from California. Guys that don't know Will, Will works for us. He's definitely a Team North America pure scorekeeper for us, and hard worker. Worked at the rink in Huntington Beach with Maxwell. Ran some of the militia youth teams, coaching. He's gotten more and more involved. I know he's doing clinics out there and whatnot. He's getting more involved with the coaching. He's actually playing on the Rink Rat Pro team. Not a bad little player out there, too. He actually scored the game-winning goal in overtime at State Wars. I believe it was in the junior division to beat the Roadrunners out there. So great guy, loves the sport. I can't say enough good things about him, but he's bringing this 16 and 18U team out to play in Not So Winter Wars from California. And that's pretty awesome. When I heard they were coming out, I was surprised, but it just shows you how people around the country are just dying to play. And, California, some of these rinks are still not getting going out there because they got a governor out there as bad as ours in New York. So they haven't been playing any hockey out there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Will loves it. He's definitely a rink rat and just loves the sport. He's always around, the kids, working with the kids and coaching. He's a rink rat. So love having Will part of the staff, and it's going to be pretty cool to see him out at Winter Wars this year.
I think we'll be putting his ass to work when he's out there too.
Yeah, and yesterday was actually Matt Dutton's birthday. Tuesday was, so happy birthday to Matt Dutton.
Okay. Talk about scorekeepers. We mentioned PJ Towel earlier. Way back in 2005 or so, he was one of our original scorekeepers at State Wars.
Yeah.
One of my old-time favorite players. 89 Missouri player, one of the best in the biz. When he's not having kids, he's a pretty nasty player to see on the rink. I know he's doing great things with CarShield right now. So always one of my favorites, PJ Tallow from out in St. Louis. Glad he's checking us out today.
Yeah.
we got 8 and unders as well, Greg. 8s is our youngest division for this tournament. So the New York Titans, Corey Gindy's group out of Long Island, they came out. They got the silver medal this year at State Wars in 8U in a really tough 12-team division. They lost a really powerful California team in the championship, but they're going to be a tough team to beat out in at the tournament in 8U. And then you have the DSC Lebeda Devils, our other buddy Scott Ives from out in Jersey. Him and Kurt Rieger, they've been doing a great job of getting kids playing out in Jersey, building that whole organization. They got teams in basically every division. Mission Black Ice, Jay Muro, we've said enough about him. And then Long Island Excelsior, which is Coach D, Dino Verone. We've mentioned him on past podcasts. Wheel Talk New York, not to be confused with that other Wheel Talk New York that the other guy's doing, I guess, right now, the real Wheel Talk, Dino Verone. He's coaching this Long Island 8U team, and he's just been wheeling and dealing all around Long Island with kids, and I can't say enough about what a great job Coach D's been doing, Greg.
Yeah, Coach D's been doing well. Another one. He's like a Will. He loves the sport. He's at the rink every day. He's coaching ice hockey now, so I'm sure he's going to be getting a lot of ice kids involved in roller hockey. But yeah, he's another one. He just loves it, loves the game, and loves being part of the tournaments. So it's always good seeing him at the rink. He was, he's the guy I grew up playing with, and he kind of vanished from the sport for I'd say 5 years or so, 7 years completely. He played a little college roller hockey and stuff like that, but he slowly made a comeback, and it's pretty cool to see him back involved with the sport. So it's good to have a guy like Dino involved.
It's funny you mentioned playing with him, because I was going to bring that up. I was going to say a lot of people may not know, but way back in the day, there was an organization in Long Island called the Tour Roller Dragons, and they were a pretty good team. Never could win the big one, but they were a good team back in the day from Long Island, and Greg was a big part of that. But Dino was on that team. Dino's what, a year older than you, Greg, or 2?
Yeah, year older.
1 year older.
Yep.
So for anyone out here now who plays for Coach D or whatever, talk a little about what kind of player was Coach D back in the day.
Coach D. Oh, so honestly, he's kind of his game hasn't really changed too much.
He was slow back then.
Yeah, he was slower back then, which is scary. But no, Dino can always find the back of the net. Especially when we were kids, he could always score, but he wasn't the best defensive player, and it's kind of translated to his game today. But obviously he's still a solid player. He plays the game the right way, but yeah, defensively he was always a little slower, and that was like what he lacked the most, I think. But he can always score. When we were kids, especially, he always had a great shot. So that was the type of player he is, and really the player he is today. So not much has really changed.
Yeah, no, he was always. I remember back in the day, I always loved his family and stuff. So I always remember the Verones at the tournaments and whatnot. And I see his mom here or there at a wedding or whatever we'll go to with mutual friends, and so awesome. And Dino's a great guy, and he's so great for the sport now. I was talking to him on the phone yesterday, and he had just finished giving a lesson somewhere. He was driving somewhere else to work with somebody. Then he was leaving there to go for his first ice practice of the year with one of the Long Island teams he's coaching this year. But you just see it, like he's getting more and more kids, and I gotta tip my cap to him that the big part of the big resurgence of Long Island players playing at State Wars in the summer, these New York kids, there's a lot of people that are chipping in, and we mentioned a lot of them last week, but Coach D, he's at the top of the list, a big part of that. And if you haven't checked out Wheel Talk New York on Instagram, check it out. He's doing some pretty cool stuff on there.
I think it's
like an East Coast.
I think it's just Wheel Talk now.
Oh, it's just Wheel Talk. It's not New York anymore. Okay, so Wheel Talk on Instagram, and it's kind of like an East Coast version of what the Cali Street Hockey guys have out in California. Eton and John, we've had them on the show. It's like the East Coast version, and maybe one week we'll get Coach D on here to talk a little bit about Wheel Talk. And he put a post up today that this is the real Wheel Talk, not the other Wheel Talk. So maybe we'll talk to him a little bit about all that controversy going on. Like, what the hell's going on with all this this Wheel Talk stuff? Some inner fighting going on, it seems like.
Yep. No, yeah, we'll have to get the inside scoop about it.
Jeremy McCoy, Big Worm, he announced on here, he goes, Angel Oliveri and the Roller Dragons going way back. So another name from the past there. Played for the Snipers for a long time as well. Younger than you, but Angel Oliveri at one time, those on Long Island know him. He was probably arguably one of the best players in the country in the 85 birth year at one time. Would you agree, Greg?
100%. He was so good. And he had some real good years. And I witnessed it firsthand, just playing with him. But he was phenomenal. He was playing again at the rink, rapid fire. He came out of retirement after, probably a 10 to 15 year hiatus. His skill was still there, his skill was pretty good still, but his stamina and his skating just wasn't the best. But hopefully he'll be back playing again soon. I think he took the season off. So
I remember one year we went to Vegas for Norwich Winter Nationals, and I guess he came out with us, and I don't think he had his dad's permission to come.
Yeah.
And he shows up, and he's got basically his hockey bag, no toothbrush. I don't think he even had a change of underwear with him. So I remember, I think JP Susko's mom took him out shopping, to CVS to buy him some stuff. But he just had his hockey gear on him, one stick, I think his dad was calling Paul Chapey, who hadn't owned Norwich in like 10 years, about wanting to know if Andrew's at the tournament. It was a big to-do, but it was really funny. But I think your mom and Mrs. Susko took care of him that week, and I think they claimed him on their taxes that year.
Yeah, if they were smart, they should have. They would have. But yeah, I remember the parents were all chipping in to buy him, socks and underwear and food and whatever.
Yeah.
It's he snuck there. He wasn't supposed to. So falling out with his parents or something, and he just snuck out and didn't get back to the house to pack up his clothes. So he snuck to Winter Nationals. Crazy stuff that used to go on.
Yeah, kids at home, don't do that. That's for sure. Not the way to go. But definitely some funny times, and just I just thought of that when his name came up, of that one instance in Vegas.
Yeah, no, totally.
So let's go here through the next division. So we got the 10 on the division, Greg. So basically almost the same team. We got the Long Island 495ers, be another strong group that Coach D's involved with. The Botkins involved with that. Are always big supporters of ours for Winter Wars as well. The Outlaws, Angel Silver's group from Pennsylvania. Shout out to Angel. His son is a great little goalie, 2010, playing 10U. And again, the DSC Lebeda Devils and Mission Black Ice round out that division. So pretty awesome seeing Jay Muro getting a lot of young kids playing, a lot of first timers as well coming to these tournaments. For a while, Black Ice had kind of died off, and it was just that older group, the D1, the pro, the junior guys. And I was worried what was going to happen with that organization, but got to give Jay Muro credit. He's done a great job at Rapid Fire Arena, getting young kids playing and, have teams 8 and under on up, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, for sure. You can never forget about Jay. Does great things down here on Long Island, and he's still doing it. He's still getting kids together. Even if they're lower end kids, he's just getting them, getting their foot in the door with tournaments and getting them, to Winter Wars. So it's really good to see. Can't forget about Jay. He's still been doing big things for State Wars and for Long Island roller hockey and for the sport in general. So still good to see. And again, it's just a collective, support group here on Long Island with, young players coming up. So it's cool to see. It really is.
What I love what a lot of these guys are doing now, the Jay Muro or Dino, Scott Ives, sometimes guys are just worried about wanting to have like a stacked team and they only grab like these stud kids that are just already phenomenal players, but they're just getting guys playing, understanding that, you got to start somewhere. Even you had mentioned before yourself, like when you first started playing, you weren't very good. I remember when I was 10, I talked about this on that Wheel Talk thing they did with me. I was 10 years old. My mom had signed me up for a roller hockey league. So by my house was a rink called Barrett Park in Valley Stream, it was like the mecca of roller hockey at one time. There was so many teams playing there. And I used to walk by it all the time to go to the park with my family. And I'd always see roller hockey playing. I wanted to try it. And a lot of guys in the neighborhood were playing. So my mom signed me up for the league. I think I was around 10 or 11. takes me to a hockey store, back then when there were actually stores to go into and buy stuff, not just online. And first question, of course, is he lefty or righty? So, of course, my mom's like, well, he writes with his right hand. He's righty. So I buy a righty stick. I get all the gear. I go down. And I would say I had to be easily probably the worst player in the entire league. So bad. It wasn't until a couple years later they realized I'm lefty. But it wasn't just that. Just hadn't played at all. Never skated before, anything. But, you start there, and take your lumps. And, a couple of years later, it was like night and day. And then I fell in love with the game and became one of the better players in that league. Eventually playing on the travel team and then playing on our tournament team from there. But got to start somewhere. Most kids don't come out of the womb skating circles around everybody else. And a lot of times when you see that kid that's so much better than everyone else, chances are he's been playing for a while already. He's got an older brother.
Yeah.
He's doing lessons. He's playing ice hockey. He's been playing since he's 4 years old. And now he's playing with 10-year-olds who are just starting. So it's going to happen. But kids catch up so quick. So I don't want people out there to get, too upset when they get some kids or they get their kid on skates and they just don't have it right away. Like most don't have it right away. It's the norm. Greg Thompson was one of the best ever skate, Team USA captain for many years. And you had said, right, Greg, when you had first started, you were pretty weak as well, right?
Yeah, I just still remember. I think I still have nightmares about it, but I remember.
Did you get cut the first time on the A team or whatever you told me?
Yeah. So 2 stories then. So I just still remember like one of my first I think it was my first rec league I played. I had a Milek helmet on. The Milek stick. Back then we played with a ball, so it was fine to play with Milek stuff. But I had stoppers on my skates, and I remember I fell into the net. Right, the play stopped for like 15 minutes because my big stopper was stuck in the netting of the goal, so they couldn't get it untangled. It was like a whole big thing, but I'll never
forget. Like a fish caught in the net.
Yeah, and I couldn't get out. So I was like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. But yeah, so I did. So when I was 10, I played for the Chiefs, a travel program called the Long Island Chiefs. They were, they had a big program back then, and this was their youngest team. And there was at the time, I was 10 years old playing 12 and under because there was no 10 and under yet in tournaments, or 8 and under, or 6 and under. So I was 10 years old playing up in 12 and under, and my buddy and I, Paul Flynn, who became a phenomenal hockey player, got played a tournament, and then we got cut the next right after the tournament. And with that being said, the year after there was a 10 and under division. We were first year 10 and unders, and then we went to another team for 10 and under, and then we ended up playing that team that cut us, and we ended up smoking them ever since. But yeah, I was a young player back then, playing up in 12 and under when we got cut. So that was the story I'm sure you're thinking about.
Yeah, and that's what most of us experience, right? I know with my own kids, watching them play other sports, and my kids have played soccer and lacrosse and basketball, and hockey's just different because of skating, right? Like other things, you could run, you could kind of catch up real quick. Hockey's different because of the skating, and most kids, again, it's just not natural. And my parents never played hockey. Your parents didn't play hockey, so it wasn't like something that we were doing at 1 year old.
Yeah.
I didn't start, like I said, till 10, 11. I didn't start playing ice hockey till 11th grade. But it is what it is. But you can catch up, and I don't want people to be discouraged when they see their kids just don't have it right away. I've talked to people that have told me, I remember Shane Fox brought up on here that his first time skating, he cried the whole time when he was like 4 years old.
Yeah.
Dad was ready to kill him, and we hear those stories all the time. You see that kid crying, it's cold on the ice, his ankle's hurt or whatever. And it just is what it is. You just got to roll with it. And kids do catch up, and I don't want people to be discouraged. But my point was, these guys getting these youth teams together, probably not going to see a ton of kids that look like the next Patrick Kane on the rink at Not So Winter Wars, but it's just getting them out there. They're going to love it. They're going to fall in love with the game. Everyone does. And, they'll get there someday. You just got to stick with it.
No, totally. It's great to see. It's great to see. Yeah. So moving on. 12 and under division. You know, we'll have 2 Inferno teams. We don't know the names of them yet, unless you got them. But yeah.
Yeah, one's being called BC Inferno, one's being called MD Inferno.
Okay. Okay. I'll mark that down. But Mission Black Ice, DSC Devils, 495ers Blue, and the regular 495ers. So that's a 16 division. Should be pretty good as well.
Okay.
Moving on to the 14U division, you know, we'll have a double A division there and then an A division. Again, 2 Inferno team. Richmond Rattlers, the Inferno. We have Alkali Rebel Long Island, and then it's Rink Rage. Not Rink Rat Rage, it's Rink Rage. So that's the 14 division there. And then our A division will consist of DSC Lobata Devils, 2 Inferno teams there, Tour Assault, Black Ice, and 495ers Blue.
Okay.
So, yeah, so that should be another good division there. And then moving on to our 16 and under division, we'll have 2 there as well. We'll have the Inferno. We'll have the Pura team from California, DSC Lobata Devils, and Tour Assault. And then moving on to the A division for 16U, we'll have the Inferno, Philly Fleet, Alkali Rebel Long Island, and Mission Black Ice. So
Okay, perfect.
yeah, it's great splitting those up before the tournament, obviously. So that should be good.
Yeah, no, it's great seeing all these Inferno teams too. The big credit out to Brad Clark and Tyler Davis out from Pennsylvania up by where are they, close to the Pittsburgh, Greg? Is that where?
Mount Pleasant.
Mount Pleasant. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the Hot Shots rink out Mount Pleasant. They do a great job there as well. The Gerger family, the Davis family. I feel like there's 8,000 of them between the 2 families. You know, they do a great job at the Hot Shots rink. Got to see a lot of them at State Wars, and you know, Tyler sends me an email and says, "Oh, I got some Inferno teams to come to the tournament." And I'm like, "Oh, great!" And then he's like, "Yeah, we got 2 12s, 15 14s, 2 6." I was like, "Wow," you know. So they got a ton of teams coming out, which is just awesome.
Yeah, it's great to see, you know, especially in the Pittsburgh area. So that's great.
Yeah, they always got a lot of talent from up in that area too, it seems like.
Totally.
And then you mentioned the Richmond Rattler team coming out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's pretty cool having them back from Virginia. You know, they come and go, but this 14U team, I don't know if it's ever played with us before. So it's so hard with these teams. You really don't know much about them, you know?
Yeah. A lot of the last names I really didn't recognize when Courtney gave me the roster for their team. But I'm sure they'll be pretty solid.
And I got to mention too, I mentioned a lot of Long Island guys. I got to mention my buddy Chris Hoysick as well, from the Alkali Rebel Long Island teams, you know, with his 16U team, his 14U team. He was out at State Wars. He's another guy that just loves it, man, so much. His boys love it. He works so hard, and it's not easy. You know, he's juggling guys. He's got a lot of ice hockey guys, you know, on his team that, you know, they're going one week they're playing 12U, they'll be in the NHL the next week. He's got to deal with a lot of egos with ice and who he's grabbing with him and what dad won't go and how many kids he's got to take with him. But I got to give him credit. He rolls with the punches, man, and he just makes it happen for the kids. And he's one of those guys that if you listen to him on the bench or you play against him, you probably think he's one of the biggest douchebags alive, like how he just gets so fired up and he's so loud. But then you know him away from it all, and he's like a teddy bear. And he's really like the nicest guy in the world, and it's just so funny. And he's like an assistant principal, which is amazing. But he's really like the greatest guy, and I've got to know him a lot better the last couple of years, playing some ice hockey with him and him being around the tournaments. And he's just another one, just so great for the sport of Long Island, just doing great stuff.
Yeah, he loves it. He loves it. And it's good to see him at the tournaments, you know. Just, you know, even a couple of years ago, they never really went to a summer national.
Right.
So it was cool to finally see them at State Wars when they first started coming, finally getting into the scene. So that was pretty cool.
He's a perfect example, Greg, if we say this every year. He was a guy that just came to Winter Wars every year. And what do we just keep telling him? You got to come to State Wars. Like, if you think this is great, State Wars is a whole nother level. No, this is the best. I'm like, trust me. He finally got to State Wars. I don't know how many years it took us to say that to him. It might have taken like 4 years.
Yeah.
To finally get a team there. And then what happens? He's hooked.
Yeah.
You know, just like teams from, say it all the time. Rob Shelton from United Kingdom. We finally got him after the 1 year. He always went to AAU every year with his teams, Junior Olympics. Finally got him to come 1 year. 1 team, 2 teams, whatever it was. They were hooked, and now they're up to 15 teams from the UK coming out.
Yep.
So, you know, and then same thing with our buddies from France. Like, they had never come. They'd only did some other tournaments. Got them to come 3 years ago, and what do they say? Best tournament they've ever been to, and then they're hooked. So it's just a matter of getting them there the first time, which is not the easiest, but you know, you get them there, and they're going to be psyched, and they're going to love it. And same thing with roller hockey. I always feel like just get kids on skates. Once you get them to the rink, I've been saying for years, let them play for free the first year at your rink because they're going to be hooked. 9 times out of 10, kids love hockey, right?
Yeah.
Just got to get them in the doors. And I think sometimes with parents, that expense of buying skates, buying a helmet, buying a stick, buying elbow pads, buying gloves, buying a jock strap, buying pants, you add it all up and it's all this money and you're worried about is your kid going to play after the first time. But most do. So let's alleviate that cost, lend them gear, do whatever you got to do to get them in the door. And then they're going to be hooked 9 times out of 10. Just got to get them in the door. But let's alleviate that first initial cost. And I guarantee we get more kids playing hockey.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that, Tim. That's we've been saying that for the longest time. You know, we've been talking, you know, RHA meetings, stuff like that. You know, it's just like one of those things. We just got to get them in the door, get them hooked, and you know, the rest will play itself out. So.
Now, Brian Higney was chirping you here, Greg, on Facebook when you mentioned your story about getting caught in the net, or he said, take your stoppers off. You know, it's pretty bad when Higgs is talking smack, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that was just the way of life back then. You know, especially in the beginning days of roller hockey, I feel like everyone had them on. And they were the ones, I forgot which skates they were. I don't think they were TRSs, but you couldn't get the stoppers off. They were like welded into the plastic. So you just had to take the rubber piece out of your stopper.
Pretty bad when Higgs is talking smack, you know?
So, but yeah, after that, you know, after I learned how to play a little bit, stoppers came off, and I was a new man from there, Higgs. So let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about the Senior A division. It's a huge division.
Always is.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm not really too sure who the favorites are in this one as well. But start off, you know, and guys, obviously we do have our team list up on our website. On our social media pages. So check out our social media pages and you can find the full list of teams for the event. There might be 1 or 2 different teams in some divisions, but for the most part, it's pretty spot on. But Senior A, we have the Stickheads, got a team called Gata Hockey. We got the Penn State University roller hockey team who came out to State Wars this summer. Very good team. It's a lot of, I think, alumni and some mixture of their buddies and stuff like that. Then we have Long Island Roar, Rink Rat Impact, another Long Island team. The Jaguars from New Jersey Strangers from New Jersey, obviously, from the Iska area. NYC Empire. And then we have the DSC Devils.
Our boy Otto put those teams together. Another guy. We'll hear it all day if we don't give a shout out to Otto for putting some teams together. We appreciate it.
Shout out Otto. Sneaky Foxes. We have the Philadelphia Kings, the Sublimation Kings Jokers, Pittsburgh Shockwave, Forest Salt, MR2 Eskimo Bros, and Iska Grizzlies.
Yeah, 16 teams altogether. So they're going to play 3 round robin games, and the top half, you know, will make the playoffs. So it's not easy. You know, you gotta win some games, and that goal differential, but it will become a factor for somebody. You know, it's a tough division, and you know, with the Senior A, you know how it goes too. They wind up playing games at like 2 a.m. in this division half the time. You know, they got games, late night games, midnight games, 1 a.m. games. They've had 2 a.m. games. These guys just love it. They play late, and it's always tough to win that division because then you got quarter, semis, finals on Sunday. It's not as big as our summer tournament. No. But it's the summer we have usually 40 teams in the Senior A division, which we'll get to when we go over our summer results for that division. But yeah, but this one here, Greg, out of those 16 teams, even when I'm making the schedule, I'm like, seeding these teams, it's kind of like you just throw a bunch of stuff at the wall, and however it lands is how you're gonna rank them. It's so tough.
Yeah, I agree. It's really tough. I think it's going to be a competitive division. And then moving on to senior double A, we'll have 8 teams actually now. We have the Rink Rat Aces here from Long Island, DSC Lebated Devils, SK Nightmare, Bad News, Old Glory, NYC Nightmare has a team in the double A as well. And then we have the Connecticut
Empire,
Coasters.
NYC Empire.
Yeah, what did I say?
Nightmare.
Nightmare. That's an old school name.
Yeah. Well, there is an SK Nightmare, so.
Yeah, maybe I just got screwed up there. But there was an NYC Nightmare at one point, which a lot of these players did play for. So then we have the Connecticut Coasters, who Tim got in yesterday. And we have Brett Jackson's group. What are they called, Tim? The
TNT Bullies.
TNT Bullies. So yeah, so that's gonna be a real good division.
Oh yeah, that's another one. I don't know. You don't know who's having a pro guy, to help a team or whatnot. I asked Foxy last night if he was playing on a team. He said no. So I don't know who's playing for who, but that's another one. 8 good teams there, and I think it's anyone's ball game, which is kind of what you want in a division, right? You don't want it to be like, I know this team's going to win. I know this team's going to lose every game. When you look at a division, you say, I don't know. Take your guess with this. I mean, that's the kind of division you want.
Yeah, totally. I agree there. And then we'll move on to our Masters divisions, our 35 plus. We have the Tour Assault, NYC Nightmare again, an Empire, sorry. RGB Lebated Devils, and the Liberty has a team. So that's another competitive division. The Tour Assault guys are, always very good. The Empire guys obviously had a great showing at State Wars this summer, and I'm sure they'll be coming in pretty hot. Lebated Devils, who played in our fall tournament, they had a real good team at our last fall invitational. So I'm sure they're going to be pretty solid as well. And the Liberty, I'm sure they'll be pretty awesome as well. So it's a pretty competitive division. Not too sure who's number one on that list, Tim. Do you have any feedback on that?
I was just going to say, I really love the stuff the NYC Empire is doing lately. They're really building a group together, and they're into it. Some former players of ours, the Cole brothers and Frankie Peretti, Carmelo Stracuzzi, Ryan Carey. They just got a good group, and they came out to State Wars first time as a team, did really well in that division. They competed with the big dogs like the Snipers and the Car Shield. They could have beat either one of them. Fell up short in that semifinal game in overtime, losing to you guys after little D. McGrath put that one home. But they could have easily won that game. Watching that game from upstairs, I thought they outplayed you guys a lot of that game.
Which I'm sure we'll talk about, moving forward to this episode, right?
Yeah, we could talk about Masters for State Wars. Notice Greg doesn't like when we talk about games he got outplayed in.
That's a lot of games these days.
But I like what they're doing with the Empire. They go to everything. They're into it. And I love their jerseys. They have that New York Rangers look with that third jersey look. Yeah. And I just like how into it these guys are. So I'm looking forward to watching those guys play. But like you said, the Tour Assault to me in 35 and 45, when it comes to Winter Wars and the fall tournament and all our East Coast tournaments, they're the cream of the crop to me. Like no one's really beaten the Assault too often yet, consistently. So I'll always give them the nod right now in 35 and 45. And moving into the 45, we got Tour Assault, Lebeda Snipers, the Scorchers, and Richard Austin, which is a new team put together by our buddy RM, Richie Murato from Long Island. And that's his company name, Richard Austin, right there. So, the 45 and over, I would say I'll be playing that one with the Lebeda Snipers. I think that's another one that's just anybody can win it kind of division. But Tour Assault, I would give them the number 1 seed based on them winning the last couple of years.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you there. And, Richard Austin, formerly known as NDF.
Yep.
So, they've been around. They've been playing a lot of tournaments. And a lot of them played at State Wars 2 years ago under Hockey Warehouse.
They won the AA.
Yeah, they won the AA division at State Wars. So, yeah, it should be a competitive division. And I love seeing, our little friend Richie Murato flying around that rink, Tim.
Yeah, he's always flying around, doesn't stop too often, but when he's flying, when he gets flying, he's flying out there. I know he showed us some pictures of his new uniforms he had made up for Richard Austin here. They were pretty filthy looking uniforms he had made up. I think I forgot who he had made up, a Black Biscuit or somebody, but I guess they're not ready in time for the tournament. So that was kind of a bummer to hear. We thought he was going to be unveiling this new look for his Richard Austin team, which would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, that kind of stinks. I'm sure he'll be pulling out those NDF jerseys though. So
he's the only guy I know. When you play on his team for NDF, I played with him, and he gives you your own jersey in like a little bag. He's got this little it's like a little sack that your bag comes in, and a little brown sack, and it's all folded up in there on the benches for you, spread out. So
it's got like
takes a lot of pride.
Some snacks, like
Oh,
a little goodie bag.
An invite to go back to his outdoor shower after the game in his yard.
Yep.
Good guy, RM, but it'd be fun playing against him in that division. So I know last time he played there, me and him had a collision, and he thought he broke his rib. So hopefully there'll be no collisions this time around. Got a lot of injuries lately, RM.
Yeah.
With some gout now and other stuff he was telling us. So wish him well. But yes, that's pretty much a wrap of the Winter Wars tournament, how they're looking. So let's move in a little bit to some recaps from State Wars. And we could talk. I know last time we ended off with, I think we were up to the 2006 division.
Yeah.
So let's bring that division up here. So
dive right in.
Yeah. So the 2006, we had an upper division there. The Rolling Hogs from Michigan, the St. Louis Blast, Missouri, the Independence team from Pennsylvania, the Pharaohs from Pennsylvania, IRHL from Illinois, and Rink Rat Mamba from Cali. This is just a great division. Out of all the youth divisions, this was one of the best to me. When I looked at it before the tournament, I was like, wow. I go, there are 3 or 4 teams that could win this division. And it showed there was no one that went undefeated. Actually, 2 teams tied in the round robin, the Hogs and the Blast, but no one won every game. And
well, Rink Rat Mamba tied Rolling Hogs first game out.
Oh, that's what it was? Okay.
Yep.
And IRHL tied the Blast?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Rink Rat Mamba, you look at it, they went 0-2-1, but they tied a great team like that. So it just shows you the strength of the division.
Yeah, I think they had an injury. One of their better players got hurt that first game.
For Mamba?
Yeah, for Mamba. That really hurt them in the long run. So that stunk. But yeah, I mean, Tim, do we have a dynasty here with the Rolling Hogs? I mean, between their 06s and the 05s, it's a lot of the Michigan, players who play every year. And I'm calling it now. I mean, it's a dynasty. I mean, these kids are phenomenal players, and they just find a way to win, and they just keep getting better and better.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, you look at some of these names here, once again, he's done it before. Liam Storch was the high scorer of the division. Not a ton of points, 6 points in 3 games, 2 points a game, very admirable. As you get older, it's hard to have those 15-point seasons when defenses and goalies get a lot better.
Yeah, plus our divisions were all around very solid. They weren't playing a lot of the lower end teams.
Right.
So, when we have just a high end division like this, it's going to be tougher for these players to bury more points. So. Yeah,
no, for sure. And Liam's always been one of my favorite players to watch in the 06 and the 05. He gets it done in the 05 division as well, but he's consistently just money, every year in that division. I know Carmen DeBrosio from the PA Independence, he led the division in goals with 5 goals. And, Cole Jacobson from Mamba, California, another good player. He played very well as well with 4 goals, just 5 points. And then to round it out here, Hunter Fiedler from PA, Mike Hillick from the Rolling Hogs, and Trevor Bryson from the Blast all had 5 points as well. So just a good division all around, like you said.
Yeah. And the finals were awesome. Rolling Hogs and the Blast. Rolling Hogs came out on top in a real good game, good matchup. But if I was a betting man going to that game, I'd be betting for the Rolling Hogs. Excuse me, sorry. Like I said, they've been so hot the last couple of years, and I just, at this point in their young hockey careers. I just don't see any teams beating them. But it was a 4-1 game, and their studs came to play. Storch and Rayum and Hillick. All these kids, they're just phenomenal players, and they have the goaltending as well back there. So, I just think they're very deep.
Yeah, no, they're a tough team. I mean, when the PA team, Jonathan Leishman got hurt, broke his arm like a week before the tournament at another tournament, just getting a warm up for State Wars, and he wound up. I think he did the Michigan, his dad told me, and some guy just chopped him or nailed him afterwards. Which, I got my different thoughts on those kind of moves and paybacks and stuff, but I still don't think it's right that someone got hurt for it. But losing him, he's a top 2 player on that PA team. And they hung with those guys to begin with. So you take him off, if you take a Storch or a Janvier off the Hogs, they'd be in the same boat. So, that team's a good team, though. Rio Mullen, Dakota, very good player who's gotten huge. He's about 7 feet tall now out there. He looks like he's just such a great 2-way player out there. And you add him on the rink with that 06s as well. And they're just a tough team to beat. And you're right. They just consistently get it done. And I know the PA team, the Cali team, the Missouri team, they're always close, but that Michigan team just seems a little deeper every year than everybody else,
Yeah. I'm looking at these scores for the Rolling Hogs, and, they tied a game. They beat the Pharaohs 5-3. They beat Independence 4-2. They beat IRHL 7-4, and then, won the finals 4-1. But, I mean, these games are competitive. All these games are competitive, and these teams are right behind them, and they're getting better and better each year. But they still just come through in the big games. So they got.
As kids get older, the games get tighter and teams get better because kids that aren't hanging anymore stop playing those divisions. So it's kind of like we always talk about that 95 PA team. They lost the last year. People catching up every year as you go along, and I think you see that with the Rolling Hogs. It's not that they're getting worse, but everyone else is getting better, and you'll see a lot closer games. And it's just going to get tougher and tougher every year for all these teams. So, but hats off to John Janvier and their group there that they're the cream of the crop right now in the 06 division.
Yeah, they've been getting it done year in, year out, and they're all playing a lot of hockey, ice and roller. So they're on their skates a lot. Again, I think a lot of these teams are. I think a lot of the rink rat Mamba kids are a lot of pure roller kids, if I'm not mistaken. So they're on their skates a lot. If they had 1-2 more players, I think they could have won that tournament. But Rolling Hogs, they're getting it done. So
100%. Having a little body armor here. I wish we could get these guys as a sponsor. I love me some body armor. Got a fridge full here.
You got me hooked on those. At first I'm like, well, you always like the vitamin water, and I was never a big fan of vitamin water.
These are better.
Yeah, and then you got me hooked on those, and I like that tropical punch one, the yellow one.
Yeah, I had a bunch. So the kids went to the store and they bought me a bunch of those. I knocked those out right away. So now I'm on to my orange mango. But I like that tropical. And there was a blue one too. It was like a berry punch.
Yeah.
Berry, the blue. Pretty good too. You got to try that one as well.
Yeah, no, I will.
But the 2006 single A division was just 4 teams in that one. So we had a separate lower division. Colorado, the Tor Mountaineers, Farm Tough from Wisconsin, the Missouri Tiger Kings, which is a great name, and the PA Inferno played in that one. And the Mountaineers kind of ran away with the round robin a little bit. They went 3-0, 21 goals for and 5 against, and then they went 2-0 in the playoffs to win the thing. And the championship game though was 3-2 win over the Tiger Kings. So it was close right there.
Yeah, I watched that game. I felt like the Colorado team definitely they were a lot deeper than Missouri Tiger Kings, but I think the Tiger Kings goalie just really stood strong in net there. Nico Scott, he got bombarded with shots, and he played awesome, kept him in the game. The Tiger Kings had some power plays towards the end; they just couldn't bury. But Yeah, it's funny. Brett Lloyd, who's the goalie for the 2006, triple last team, he played out for the
Yeah, it was
2006.
pretty fun watching him playing out.
So yeah, it was pretty weird seeing him skating out with them. But I guess it's a bunch of his buddies from the rink, and they wanted to play in a lower division. So pretty cool to see, and it was awesome to see the Tiger Kings make it to the championship. So that was cool.
Yeah, and high score in that division, Landon Mendico
Yeah.
from the Tour Mountaineers, 8 points. And then a couple of his teammates, James Gibbons with 7 points, Bryson N with 6 points, and Nate Cardenas with 6 points there. So that team, I don't know how they would have done in the higher division. I think they probably are that tweener team that might have got their butts whooped a little by some of the top teams in the other one.
Yeah.
But that's a tough part with these divisions sometimes. They're the best of these teams, but they probably would have been the last place team in the other division. It just shows you how tough it is sometimes.
Yeah, no, exactly. And in round robin, Missouri Tiger Kings played the Tour Mountaineers, and the Mountaineers really took it to them, 8-2 score. So for them to come back the next day and give them a good game and almost take it, you got to give hats off to the coaching staff for really stepping up their game plan. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. So let's move into the 05 AAA division. So here was a 5-team separate division as well. Rolling Hogs, Michigan again. We mentioned them with the 06. A lot of their guys play both divisions, some brothers and whatnot. Tour River Monsters, PA, always a tough team from Pennsylvania. The Missouri Car Shield team, another tough 05 team, which also had an injury. One of their better players, Pawarchuk, broke his leg, weeks prior to the tournament. So that affected them.
His leg or his arm?
Yeah, it was something. I thought it was his leg, might be his arm. One of them broke a bone. The Alkali Rebel team from New York. We mentioned Chris Hoysick with his team coming to Not So Winter Wars. That was his group there. And then Rinkrat Mamba again, which, some of the 06s teams playing both. But, Rolling Hogs went 4-0. Again, cream of the crop probably in the 05 division right now. But you always see the River Monsters, the PA, in a normal year. Team Pennsylvania, Team Missouri, Team New York. They're battling with these guys. And, you mentioned scores earlier. The Rolling Hogs, definitely the best team there. But, they played a 7-5 game against Car Shield, and they played a 6-1 game with California. And then the championship, though, they took it to Car Shield 5-0 in the final to win it. Just a really tough team, that Michigan team.
Yeah. No, they definitely took it to them in the finals, 5-0 score. But, it's crazy to see because, the Rolling Hogs, in years past, they've had players like Matthew Mania playing and Waring, and they're doing it without those players. So, Rolling Hogs, they're pretty deep, man. They got a good squad.
One advantage that Michigan always seems to have, it seems like, is because Michigan's such a rich ice hockey market, that there's always people that move to Michigan to play ice hockey.
Yeah.
Which, as a dad with kids, I just always find mind-blowing how people just pick up their kid and move to another state for a hockey or whatever. But, it is what it is. So you mentioned Mania. He had moved there from, I think first he was in Florida, then he moved to Illinois, then he was in Michigan. Yeah. But he had moved there for ice hockey and lived there, and that's why he was playing with them. And now this year, Christian Kim, who was arguably the best player in California in the 05 birth year for many years, playing for Team California, he's moved to Michigan to play ice hockey. So now he's on that team. So they lose a Mania or a Waring, but then they pick up a Christian Kim. So it's just so many players to pick from there that Michigan just always seems to have bodies. Luke Janvaria, who's a stud, led the tournament in scoring with 12 points, but then Christian Kim and Liam Storch, the 06, both had 10 points. So, you got the top 3 scorers in the division, all from that team.
Yeah, no, they're deep. They're really deep. Car Shield, just when you think it might be their year, they get some injuries and some players bail because of ice hockey.
Yeah.
And Rolling Hogs just, they didn't really have an answer for them. So, hats off to Rolling Hogs in that division.
I want to mention a couple other players in that division. So, you got Peter Bazis from New York, who last year was supposed to play with the New York team, didn't wind up coming. He went on a trip or whatnot. They got him out there this year. I know Coach Chris Hoysick's always talking about him. He had a good tournament with 9 points for his team. And then Vinny Bacardi, on that Colorado, the Car Shield team from Missouri. I remember his dad, Mario, from back in the day. He was a player that played for the Blast from Missouri back when I was coaching against them. I believe, I don't know if he's a 79 or 78 or whatever, but way back in the day, he was a great player, and his son is taken after the old man, 9 points in the division. And then Ethan Miller, Max Sokol from the River Monsters, Austin Sobelsey, Brody Best. They got some real good players as well. So I think it's closing in with these teams. These teams, they just got to strengthen maybe the bottom couple guys in their team. Maybe there's a little bit of a drop off, but Michigan doesn't have that drop off, Greg. I think the top 4 guys, I think, can hang on all these teams. It's just they got to strengthen out the bottom. No different than we talk about in the Palmer Pro division.
Yeah, no, totally. Teams just have to get over that hump. That hump we always talk about. And once they get over there and maybe get some more confidence, after beating them maybe once, it's a whole different ball game. So, yeah, that was another great division there. And Car Shield, like I said, fell short when they thought maybe it could be that year, and just didn't have enough to compete in the final. So
yeah, no, you're right. All right, let's pop over a little bit here to some adults here. So let's talk about the that senior A division we were talking about earlier.
Do you want to go over the 2005 A division first, so we don't?
Okay, yeah, maybe we can do that. Actually, forgot about the A division. Yeah, let's do that. So that was a 16 division, Greg.
Yeah, that was a 16 division. We had Team PA, IRHL, the Pharaohs, Tour Mountaineers, Farm Tough, and Alkali Rise.
And so Team PA went 3-0 in that division, and IRHL went 2-0-1 as the 2 leaders there.
Yep.
Pennsylvania en route to their 3-0 record. They had some big wins. Then they beat Farm Tough in the semifinals 3-0. But then they had a tough one. They met their match with IRHL in the championship, losing 4-3 to IRHL. So PA had won undefeated all tournament long, and then IRHL got them in the end.
Yeah. IRHL was led by Lucas Karowski, who's been a very good player at State Wars, and Adrian Wisniewski's on that team. Some real good high end players there, but they just didn't have enough to beat. But Pennsylvania had Owen Ostrowski, Isaac Bernstein, Joey Spivak, Adam Ricci, names we see all the time. And Pennsylvania didn't have enough to come up with a win over IRHL in that final.
I got to mention IRHL, Alex Conley, he sticks out to me. He wears number 40 like I do. 5 assists in the playoffs. He had 6 points in the playoffs to lead the team in scoring in the playoffs. So he stepped it up when it counted in the big games. So that was in the round robin. He had 6 points, and he led the team in scoring with 6 points in 3 games. And then in the playoffs, your guy Lucas Rakowski, he stepped it up with 4 points, and Ben Juki, they both had Jukol, they both had 4 points in the playoffs in 2 games.
Yeah, they had 3 in the finals. So that was pretty impressive to see.
Overall, the leading scorer in the division overall, Isaac Bernstein, tore it up. 12 points, 6 goals, 6 assists. I love seeing a guy that gets assists and goals, Greg, not just one or the other. Well-rounded. Isaac Bernstein from PA, always one of the best in that 05 division. Tore it up pretty good. And then Mark Rausenwinter from the Pharaohs with 8 points. So some great hockey from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Pennsylvania. We always talk about hotbeds and roller hockey, phenomenal players, where they're coming out of. And Pennsylvania is a state where a lot of great players come from. And it's been since the early days, since we started playing. Guys like CJ Yoder and Brian Yingling and Jay Mazer, that whole PA group. It's continued, down the line with Tyler Kraft and Nick Master and that whole 95 group, and now with the 05s and the younger Tour River Monsters, and it's just the Outlaws. It's just really continued to flourish in Pennsylvania, and the Inferno. It's such a big state. between the Pittsburgh players and the Philadelphia players. Just such a big state, Tim.
Yeah, no, for sure. That RHL team again, Dan Costanza, and Garrett Hart coaching them. He came on board coaching this year, which is awesome to see. Another big State Wars player since he's a little kid. And
Yeah.
one day we'll get him on, maybe talk about his youth at State Wars and him coaching now. He's doing a great job with Dan, and RHL, winning that 05A division is pretty awesome for those guys.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, and it's awesome to see those Colorado teams too. The Mountaineers, Bentico's group. Those kids are getting better and better as well.
Yeah.
So
his dad, Gene, the manager of that team, another guy pretty passionate about the sport.
Yeah,
leading up to crazy sometimes, but he's into it.
Yeah, leading up to the events, man, you'll hear from Gene almost every day. About a little roster change or something, but you gotta love guys like that who are really into the sport. And Gene's a good guy, and Colorado's lucky to have a guy like Gene, involved. So.
No, he definitely loves it. You're right. I'm definitely passionate about it. So now let's move on to that senior A division. So it was a 34 team division. 34 teams, Greg. And I'm not gonna read through the list here because it may take an hour, but
yeah,
we had 34 teams, and I'll just mention some areas. We had teams from Illinois, Missouri, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Tennessee, Indiana, Pennsylvania,
Rhode Island,
Colorado, Rhode Island, Florida, Ohio, Kentucky in that division.
Colorado, yeah.
The only thing missing from that division this year is normally we have a bunch of teams from different countries playing as well in it, but such a well-rounded division. So there were 34 teams, and then I believe, if memory serves me, after the playoffs, so everyone only played 3 games. Then the top 16 advanced to the higher A bracket, and the bottom 18 moved to the B bracket, and then go to single elimination. But there were 7 teams that went 3-0 through it. Chicago Drive, the Custom Skate Works, Dad Bods, Levada Storm, Hot Shots, Great Lake Bandits, and TGP Sports all went 3-0 to undefeated. And then the STL Shooters and Top Guns both went 2-0-1. So they tied a game, but also went undefeated technically by it. So, and what's funny about it is, our buddy Trefty, but we always bust his chops about playing single A. And with his team, we call him, and one year he called his team the Sandbaggers, which made it even funnier. But, he's definitely a cocky guy, Trefty, good hockey player, loves the game. He was so pumped for this. They come out, lose to our buddies from Missouri, TGP Sports, the first game 5-4. And we were like, whoa. So he came up in the office like, see, we didn't sandbag. We lost the game already. And then they went on to win the next couple. But then they got smoked their first playoff game, 8-0 by TGP Sports. So the one team that beat them, they happened to play out of 34 teams.
Yeah.
But luck would have it, they play that one team again, the first round of the playoffs. Out of 33 other teams they could play, they play the same team and get mercied. And Trefty looked like he saw a ghost when he came back up to the office after that game.
Yeah, it's funny because I was on broadcasting. I did a little color for that game with George Brown the first time they played the TGP Sports team. And it was a 5-4 game. But, I could kind of tell TGP wasn't really playing their best game. They have a lot of pure roller guys who play the game, a lot. And, Indiana team, all phenomenal hockey players, but they just didn't really transition well and didn't play roller hockey out there. And, I said, listen, if TGP plays, roller hockey, that it could be deadly. And Dylan Timmy really stepped it up and led TGP to a senior A championship, and he was excellent out there.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Dylan Timmy was good. We saw him out in another Missouri kid. He had played for years at State Wars. He went into the Marine Corps, so we thank him for his service and stuff. He went out to the Marines for a while, and we saw him out in California at Winter Wars West, which was our really own tournament during the year we had been able to hold, which seems like 10 years ago, Greg. Yeah. And he came out, lost a lot of weight, was real thin and ripped and just flying around out there. And you could just see the conditioning with him, and he looked pretty good at State Wars.
Yeah, he did. And he ended up getting most valuable player of the championship game.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So, yeah, so that division, 34 teams, it's pretty crazy. And, with the split. So like you mentioned, TGP Sports, which you could kind of tell early on that they were the cream of the crop a little bit, but you never really know how it's going to go. So they wound up going 4-0 in the playoffs. So it's amazing. Like they played 4 more games just with playoffs alone, Greg.
Yeah.
And won the last one 4-2 over the Top Guns from Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee team is really good as well. A lot of people had them winning, as their favorites. And Devin Pierce leading up to the tournament, he had a lot of roster changes and whatnot. So he was writing me all the time. So I was like, all right, no problem. But then I'm like, wow, they're losing some pretty good players, but it really didn't hold them back. A lot of these kids who grew up playing State Wars, it was pretty cool to see them back in the mix playing seniors as adults. So that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, no, definitely for sure. And what about the B bracket, Greg, for the playoffs?
Yeah, so heading into B, let me pull that up now.
Is it the Rhinecrest Express?
Yeah, they ended up winning it.
Yeah, because they went 3-0. It looks like here. So they wound up beating the Pineapple Express. So Battle of Expresses, Rhinecrest Express, named after a brewery out there with our buddy Nick Okada, and the Pineapple Express from Colorado. They wound up playing in the championship, but Rhinecrest winning 8-3 in the championship for the bead bracket. Danny Matea had 3 goals and assists, 4 points. Johnny Bonta 2 goals for Ohio. And the Pineapple Express, Eric Boltholz had 2 goals for them. And some are old buddies. Mike Victorman playing on that team, the Ingram boys, Dougie Fetz. So, great job by those guys, but they fell short in the championship to the boys from Ohio.
Yeah, no, it was a good division. That double A, the double A, the B of it, the B bracket was pretty competitive, man. And that Florida team, Flowgrown, they had a rough start, but they ended up doing pretty well, and then they lost to the Magicians in I think it was overtime in the playoffs. But that was a great game to watch. I was watching that one. Both teams had power plays, but I always love watching the Indiana Magicians play. A lot of the local fans come out, the parents. They have some fans that actually follow them around. So it's always fun watching the Magicians play. And they fell short to Reinheist Express, in the semifinal. So
Who's got to be tough? I'm looking here who finished in last place. Like, when you're in last place in that 34 team division, there were 3 teams: Team Colorado, Detroit Knights, and Junior Dragons. All went 0-3, but all had a -17 goal differential. But the Junior Dragons had 7 goals against. 24 goals against, 7 goals for. So their lowest goals against got them in last place. It's got to be so frustrating when you see your team in last out of 34 teams. I always think like when there's a marathon or an Olympics race and you're the last one, like how it's got to feel. But, what's great about this is everyone makes the playoffs, and you finish in last, but you still got a chance then to make a run. It's going to be difficult. There's a lot of games to play and a lot of ground to make up. But, so those guys went 0-3, okay? Last place, the Junior Dragons. And I didn't even know this, so I just looked this up. So I didn't even have this planned. But then they went on. They mercied the Chicago Dynasty 8-0 their first game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Went to the next one, beat that Penn State team we talked about earlier, PSURH, 4-3.
Yep.
Okay, in the next round. And then they wound up losing to Pineapple Express, who went to the finals in the B 5-0. So they were in last place, 34 teams, GT, and they go on a run, win 2 games, and they got to be thinking, holy shit, I could win this B division now.
Yeah.
And they wound up losing to the team that went to the finals in that, and I'm assuming the next game would have been the final there. So you never know, and that's just what makes that division so much fun, where, you could potentially play like 8 games in that division when it's all said and done to win the whole thing.
Yeah, teams are so competitive in that division, and even a team like the CSHL, the Kentucky team, I watched them play. They weren't terrible at all. They had some good players on that team, but they just kind of fell short. And even the Rhode Island team, they had 4 or 5 players on that team, so they kind of sat back in a trap, a box, and they just hung in there and played competitive games. They lost 2-1 to Puckstar. Puckstar had the puck majority of the game. They weren't really forcing plays, after they were up. But Horse Marines gave them a game, and they did what they had to do to stay in the game, with a short bench. But every team, was competitive. Let's be honest. Just a matter of your matchups and round robin play. So it's a good division. Always a fun division to watch. Always the worst to seed when it's all said and done. When round robin's over, our staff members, we always fight to, we always send 2 guys down there to do it, but no one ever wants to do it because it's just so tricky sometimes.
Yeah, and I think our buddy Dennis Jelsic, he had to go pick up a gallon of whiteout just after all the mistakes on the board, which he was the captain of the whiteout team.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. I know he'll deny it. I'm sure he's chiming in on Facebook right now about it. But he was we may call his team the Isco Whiteouts next year after all the whiteout he used this tournament. He's mainly used for all the brew he uses. They use a lot of whiteout this tournament this time around.
Yeah, we finally let him out of the office and out and about doing the board, and of course he screws it up. So.
Well, he did say, "Hey, I'm the office guy, right?" So gotta give him that. It is true. He usually does not leave leaves the office. So we let him out into the real world out there, and he starts making mistakes. But the one thing he did bring up, Dennis, and I thank you for that, is Team Ohio had a celebrity on the team. They didn't do too well in the tournament. They went 0-3 in the tournament, and then they wound up losing 5-0 to the Horse Marines from Rhode Island. They went 0-4, but otherwise known, Nasher is known in the real world from their team. I believe his real name is it Andrew Telfer? Is that his name on the team?
Yeah.
So anyone that's on Instagram or been watching NBC Sports during the playoffs going on, Nasher is well known, over 1 million followers on YouTube and whatnot, known throughout. He's a gamer. And he's been running for on TV. You see during the NHL, they had it on last night after the game was over, the online gaming NHL playoffs going on and whatnot. And honestly, I wrote it on our Instagram thing. It was almost like if this was 1964 or whatnot, you would have thought John Lennon and Paul McCartney walked into the rink. There were a crowd of people around this guy. And I got to be honest, I didn't even know who the heck he even really was because I'm not into that kind of stuff. But there were kids like coming up to me like, "Oh my God, is Nasher here? Is Nasher here?" Like it was like an Elvis thing or a Michael Jackson thing back in the day. And It's amazing, Greg, the following this guy has. And I went into the locker room. So I got to tell you quick stories. I don't think you were there for this. So I go down by the board. I think I was fixing some mistakes that Dennis messed up on the board. And the kids were all over him. And that's when I had taken a picture that I had put on Instagram of all the kids. And he was so great. He dealt with all these kids, and they're all over him. And he signed all these autographs. He probably stood for half an hour after his game. And you know how it is. After you just lose a game, the last thing you want to do is talk to anybody. But he was all smiles, talking to these kids. And then he kind of got shuffled into the locker room. And I went into the locker room to talk to him and introduce myself. And he was so nice. And he was so complimentary about the tournament. Said it was the best tournament he's ever been to. And we talked about the tournament. I apologized for how, crazy the kids were. And he was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. I love it." And he went back out after again, signed autographs again. And kids were all over him. And pretty awesome stuff. So I look forward to talking to him more moving forward about getting him involved with some other stuff with State Wars. Because definitely good to have for the sport.
Yeah, I've heard the name before, and I knew he was a big gamer and stuff like that. I knew he played inline hockey. Just wasn't quite sure if he was. I didn't know his real name, honestly, and had no idea he was coming to State Wars this year. And our buddy Dukes, CP, his kids are all into it, and they knew he was here. And,
yeah, T-Bone, his son T-Bone was like, "Nash gonna be here," and I'm like, "What?"
I don't know, like.
PJ Towel just said on Facebook here that his kids love him too. He didn't know he played. Like, the kids love him. And it's funny, when we were at the Coliseum for setup, the gentleman Nathan Dennison, who runs the Coliseum, had said to me, "Hey, my son's all excited that there's a really famous online guy going to be at the tournament. And he says, it's someone who does all this Instagram and YouTube stuff. So I was like, Itan Shavera? He's like, no. I'm like, Dino Verone, like, I'm thinking, John Seamer, like, who was this talking about? He goes, no, Nasher. And I said, no, he's not playing in the tournament. I had no idea. And I feel bad now because I told him he wasn't going to be there. Some probably would have came over to meet him. But yeah, the kids were going crazy. I know Dukes had sent us a picture of his sons, Luke and T-Bone, taking a picture with him. And there were a lot of kids taking pictures with him there. He was a lot more popular than either one of us were at the tournament. That's for sure.
Yeah, more than any other pro players too. So
right.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Hopefully, we'll see him in the future. Coming to events.
Yeah, I know when that game ended last night, I went into my office to work on the schedule. My TV was still on, and I heard him talking on the TV that they had him on, and the gaming was going on. So I can't get into all that gaming stuff, but kids are into it today, and God bless them. Whatever works, works. So keep that trouble. What's that?
Too many buttons for me.
Yeah, I'm an Atari guy. Just give me a joystick and one button, and I'm good.
Yep. Nintendo, Sega Genesis guy.
Right. So that's the Senior A and the B division. So great stuff there. Always such an amazing division. It's funny. It's actually a harder division to win, Greg, than Palma Pro. Palma Pro is tough because of the competition, but the A division with the amount of teams and how many games you got to win through to keep going, it's unreal. So it's if you don't finish with a top seed, you might have to play 5 playoff games. So it's such a tough division, and it's always between 30 and 45 teams. And next summer we're back in Missouri in St. Peter's Recplex. That division will be back over 40 teams again. So it's probably the toughest division to win in the entire State Wars event.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and it's very competitive. A lot of good teams in that, and anyone can win. It just really depends on how you match up in round robin, because there's a lot of unknowns, for us doing the schedule, seeding the teams. So, yeah, it's really tough.
The last division we'll cover for today is the Senior AA from State.
We already did Senior AA last week too.
Oh, we did it already? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, I guess let's talk about 35 and over AAA. We touched on it earlier a little bit today. So, it was a small division this year without the Argentina guys coming out, and Illinois last year had a team. So we had a 4-team separate AAA for 35, which is so awesome to have a separate division that's a little more high level. So, teams aren't getting beat up on that aren't at that level anymore or whatnot, because we got a lot of guys that are still playing pro, like yourself, JP Bealston in that division, and some guys that recently had played pro. So it's such a good division. So we had Carshield from Missouri, the Lebeda Snipers from New York, the New York City Nightmare, and the Michigan NXTL team. Did I say Nightmare?
You did. You said Nightmare.
You got me doing that now.
I know.
NYC Empire. And I get the whiteout. Where's the whiteout? And Michigan NXTL team, Mike Francis's group, Matt Mosley and whatnot. So
yeah.
Again, great division. No one went undefeated. Whenever I see no one winning every game, I know it's a good division. So everybody played everyone once there. I mean, Carshield, granted, their loss was a forfeit because they had a conflict and they just said we're undefeated, just whatever. But you guys had a really good battle with the Empire team, which there's a lot of friends from back home on those New York teams playing, and definitely hurt the New York Lebeda Sniper team. That Derek Kern, who to me is a top 2 player on that team, was there for the round robin. Then he left before playoffs. His son was playing. He was coaching. Had to get to a family vacation, so he left the boys high and dry. Which I definitely take away his man card a little bit for that. But he left. And the second time you had to play those guys, the semifinals, without Derek, and I watched him upstairs with above, and can't root for any team. It's my tournament, just watching. And I got to be honest, from an unbiased standpoint, watching it, I thought the Empire outplayed you guys for the majority of that game. And Jerry Joya came up with some big saves. Copy that from your team in net. Because if those guys would have buried some chances, I remember Carmelo Stracuzzi had a couple chances. Ryan Carey we all put $1 on who's going to score the OT winner. I took Ryan Carey. He had a chance right away in overtime and didn't bury it. There were so many chances, and you guys they let you guys hang around. I think they were up by 2 goals on you guys. And you called a great timeout late in that game, Greg, which I was upstairs saying, call timeout, Greg, call timeout, Greg. And you called it. And I was like, all right, he's listening to his coach up here. And you called a great timeout. I think it was 2-0. You were losing at the time of the timeout. And then after that, because Ryan Carey had former sniper, by the way, had both goals for Empire. And then you guys called timeout, and Danny McGrath, there's a scoring error here. They have Jimmy Lynch scoring a goal, but he didn't. He had a great pass behind the back to Danny. I think Danny had a hat trick in that game. He scored the 2 tying goals, and then he scored a nice screenshot through, coming down one-on-one on a defenseman and put it through a screen to win the game 3-2. But it was a great game all around.
Yeah, it was. Just to correct you there, Derek Kern did not play the first game against them either.
Oh, he didn't?
No, he left. But yeah, no, honestly, we shouldn't have won that semifinal game. We had a battle with them the night before that, it's funny. We knew we were going to play them again in the semifinals. So we're like, oh, let's try to make this game the semi. But I guess they had some injuries and, obviously you go all the way there to play, you might as well play it. But, we threw it out there to say, do you guys want to play this game as a semi? But, going into that first round robin game against someone, like, all right, this should be like a fun game. Right out of the gate, it was like a playoff game.
Yeah.
It's funny. I actually still have bruises on my arms. You could see it now from that game. But that wasn't even the semifinal game. But yeah, it was a good battle in the semifinal. Honestly, we should have won that game. They outplayed us, dominated us, and we just got some fortunate bounces. And Dan McGrath stepped up and played great.
Yeah, he had an awesome game.
Carried some timely goals, and Jimmy Lynch, made some awesome passes to him as well. So, it was a great overtime win, and we just kind of fell short to Carshield, who, deservingly, is the best team in that division. They're just deeper than everyone. They just play a better game, and they had all the right pieces this year, and they took it home.
Yeah, what Carshield does really well is it's kind of like the Islanders. Watch them at the NHL. They kind of like suffocate you. They own the puck so much in a game. So time of possession is such a big advantage for them usually. And then they're just really physical and good defensively. So you don't get a lot of quality chances against a Carshield. You'll get some power play goals maybe here or there, but to get an even strength goal is really tough against those guys. And the only goal you guys scored, Sean McGrath scored late to make it 2-1, but they pretty much had the game controlled most of the time. If they scored 2 early goals, they're a team you really got to get the first goal on.
Yeah,
and they get some luck for sure. But
yeah, and they had a shorter bench as usual. Like usually it's a little deeper bench, a little bigger bench, but they had a kind of a shorter bench that weekend, and they played a smart game. They go up early and just kind of play a controlled game. But honestly, they had 2 goals that weren't really like the best goals, but they had good balances and, just played smart game and took it to us. So, hats off to Carshield.
Yeah, little D, Danny McGrath, led the division in scoring with 8 points. And then the 2 pro players in the division, Greg Thompson, JP Bilston, both with 7. Greg Thompson, no goals, 7 assists, led the tournament with 7 apples, but got to bury one once in a while, Greg.
Yeah, just didn't have that touch, Tim.
JP Bilston, though, 7 points, point off from the leading high scorer, and that's playing 1 less game because they forfeited out that one last game. So he's usually good for a point a game. So that things might have changed how they played that game. But Danny McGrath will take home that Warrior stick no matter what, even though I think he's retired with his dog living up on a lake somewhere in Vermont right now. So I don't know if he'll need that stick.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, 35 and over division, AAA division is always a good one. And, hopefully next year we'll have another, just a AAA division as well. So.
Oh, 100%. That division will grow, I think.
Yeah.
And while we're here, I guess let's just talk about the AA 35. So 8-team division, Carshield, Missouri, Reapers, Missouri, Semi-Pro, Colorado, Back Bar, Michigan, Crossbar, Cronies, Illinois, Off in the Corner, Missouri, Indy Inline from Indiana, and the Gremlins from Missouri. So Carshield and the Reapers, both Missouri teams, went 3-0 in that division there. Carshield, again, is very tough. They have so many players to pick from. Mike Vickerman from Semi-Pro, our buddy, who's a 45 and over guy,
Yeah.
He scored 7 points, had an extra game played than a couple other guys, but still 7 points to win the high scorer. Oh, that was the playoffs. I'm sorry. Playoffs, he had 7 points. Simon Goulin from semi-pro, his teammate, had 9 points in the round robin for the high scorer.
Yep.
So Vicky was more the playoff guy there, but he had 7 points in the round robin as well. Nice tournament for Mike Vickerman. And Reese Boschert, one of my favorites from Car Shield, and Matt Novak, 8 points and 7 points respectively for Car Shield there. So definitely a pretty well-rounded division. But Car Shield 3-0 in the round robin, went to the playoffs. They beat the Gremlins 8-1, but then they lost to Back Bar from Michigan 2-1.
Yeah, I think Back Bar is defending AA champions, if I'm not mistaken, from the year prior. And they ended up, making to the finals against semi-pro.
Yeah, they knocked out them. Karsha, which was a big win, and then the semi-pro team wound up beating them 8-3 in the championship game. So Back Bar got the silver. But just some stats here from the championship game. Daryl Moore led the Michigan team with 2 points, 2 helpers. Andy Miller and Bill Mitten and Dave Zubin each with a goal each for that team. And then on the Colorado side, Josh Ingram, 3 points. Mike Vickerman, 3 points. Doug Fetz and Brian Higney, 2 points. Wow. I must have taken the stoppers off for that game. And Mike Davis in goal for those guys. And Kevin Clark in goal for Michigan. So, yeah, great game for AA. And, it's nice, again, like you have those upper teams taken out, and it makes for a great division all around for the AA guys.
Yeah, and a couple of those AA teams probably could have played up in the AAA. There's some real good teams in that division. And just a question for you. Remember that old school name, Daryl Moore?
Yeah. Michigan?
Yeah, he used to play for like Brampton, Ontario Thunder, I think, back in the day for Walt Gretzky's team. Then he played a little bit for Detroit Stars, I think. Just curious to see if that's the same person.
Well, I had brought that up to you before the tournament, if you remember.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I had said to him whether it's the same Daryl Moore. So I don't know if someone could get back to us on that. That's the same old Daryl Moore. That was a stud player back in the day. I'm not sure. Probably should have asked him in person there, but we get so busy and everyone looks the same with these stupid masks on. So wouldn't even know it was him anyway.
Yeah, he was a phenomenal player back in the day. I'm curious.
Oh, big time. He was one of the originals back in the old days.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and let's just finish up here with the 45 and over, I guess. The old man here. 6-team division. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm in that division. Cut from the 35 and over team, so I'm only playing 45 now. So 6-team division. The Beta Snipers from New York, Mission Bauer, Border Cats, Michigan, Palmer Beta Golden Knights, California, Car Shield Rolling Fossils, Missouri, Puckheads, Illinois, and the Michigan Sidewinders. The Beta Snipers, no biggie, 3-0 for the round robin right there, number 1 seed. So it was a good start for us. Leading scorer of that division, Glenn Mears from Palma, which, not known necessarily for his scoring normally. He's big, strong D-man, out there, good two-way player. But Glenn Mears tore it up, 8 goals, 2 assists for 10 points to lead the tournament in scoring. Jamie Smith, Michigan Bauer Border Cats, had 7 points. And then Bobby Clouston, Charlie Mott, and Tim McManus, 6 points each to round out the top scoring for the 45 and over division. So no big. And then in the playoffs there, Glenn Evans in 2 games played had 9 points for California.
Wow.
So he got things going there.
We saw him at dinner that night.
Yeah.
Bought us a round of tequila shots.
Yeah, he bought us some fancy tequila. So thank you to Smurf, right? To Glenn Evans. Too many Glens on that team. But the Cali team, their big struggle was they had 5 players.
Yeah.
A couple guys couldn't come for them, and it's really tough at the 45 and over division to play short. I know last year my team played with 6, and we ran out of gas against California in the championship. But back-to-back years, the Beta Snipers fell short in the championship game. This year we lost to a very good team, the Michigan Border Cats. Played very well against us, defeat us in that, and Jamie Smith won MVP in that game, rightly so, had a great game against us. Mark Costanza came and played goal for us, did a great job, and he won MVG in the tournament. So hats off to him.
Yeah, and let's be honest, Border Cats were missing one of their best players. You know, Michael Alon, great goal scorer. So they still won it without him. So
Yeah.
it's pretty impressive too. And you know, one of my favorite players and got favorite guys of all time, Dave Vance. You know, he had a great tournament as well. Such a nice guy, great family, and you know, it was great to see him and catch up with him a bit too.
Yeah, it's funny. Like in 45, there was a play when we were in the championship game. I don't think I ever told you this. So playing against, Bobby Clouston's on the other team, who's known, running the NRHL professional league that's hopefully starting up next year with those guys. So playing against them, and him and I collided into the boards pretty hard, and I wound up losing my stick. So I go to pick it up, and he's such a gentleman. He's trying to pick up my stick for me, but he goes to pick it up, and then he like fumbles it and drops it. So it was almost like, are you doing this on purpose, or are you trying to, give me my stick right now? I was like, oh, stop being so nice. Let me just get my own stick. So it took me like 2 minutes to get my stick. So it was a really funny exchange. We were laughing about it, but fun playing. Those guys are a good buddy. Matt Koleski, obviously on that team. Phil Saunders, such a great group, and just a lot of fun. Larry Botsford in goal for those guys. A lot of those guys played for the Masters USA team and whatnot. So fun game, and I look forward to hopefully playing them next year with maybe a full bench for us as well.
Yeah, man, I'm curious if any of those guys could play 55 and over next year. I know maybe some of the Rolling Fossils could.
Yeah.
They're getting up there in age, but those Rolling Fossil guys, they could still play. They're a great team, great guys, and I think you guys beat them in the semifinal, correct, Tim?
Yeah, we played them twice. We beat them in the round robin and in the semi. So yeah, it was. I was worried about playing them in the semi because we beat them in the round robin.
Yeah,
and they beat us last year, I believe, and they always give us fits. But I was worried about playing them a second time. Like, oh damn, I wanted to play somebody else. I didn't care who. I hate playing the same team twice, as you know how that goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got lucky and we beat them again. So it was a fun time for sure.
Yeah, let's give a shout out to our boy Copes, Andy Copeland. Sidewinders. So it was good seeing him and Brian Yaldo and the boys.
Copeland, he was always a goalie, and he was playing out now. He retired from that, and he played out against us. He was, joking with me on the rink the one game we played him at the arena.
Yeah, and obviously the boys from Illinois as well. They fell short, but they had a good group of guys. Lynn McNew was the goalie for that team.
Yep.
Our boy Michael Boyle.
I know, right?
Rob Nava.
Nava.
Yeah, Nava, that group. Noga's double A guy, Tim.
Yeah.
Just a good group of guys, and it's great seeing these guys still loving the sport. So
awesome. Yeah. So any big predictions tonight, Greg? NHL playoffs tonight. We got the Islanders Philly game 6 tonight. Isles up 3-2 after losing that heartbreaker the other night in overtime to the Flyers. Every time the Flyers feel like they're finally starting to pull away from the Islanders come back and tie the game. They did it twice in a row to those guys.
Yeah. And
I don't give the Islanders enough credit, I don't think, is offensively. But tonight's game 6, and if the Flyers can pull off tonight, then it's going to go for an all big game, 1-game playoff, game 7, I think Saturday night. So who do you like tonight in that Flyers Islander game?
Well, who's the home team? Just kidding. But
change, I guess, might matter. So
yeah, no, true. But it's funny. I tried following like the home team to see if like there was more like of a the sounds of a crowd or more signage for the team. I couldn't tell. But I don't know, Tim. Islanders really need to win this one if they want to make it to the next round, just because that game 7 is going to be tricky. Because the Flyers they're a pesky team, and one of my favorite players, ex-New York Ranger Kevin Hayes, he's been phenomenal for Philly, man.
All right,
he's all over the puck, just does it all. He's a great penalty killer, so long.
So did you answer the question though? Who do you like tonight?
I haven't.
I know you don't like making decisions usually, so you like my wife. So make a decision here.
Call me Switzerland.
Flyers or Islanders? What do you got tonight?
Tonight, I think the Islanders are going to close the deal.
Okay. If the Flyers win tonight, who wins the series?
Islanders.
You gotta ask George Brown. Whoever George Brown's betting on tonight, I'm taking the other team. That's what I'm going with tonight.
Who do you got, Tim?
Tonight, I'm going with the Flyers. Giroux scored finally last game.
Yeah.
Then he had an assist on the winning goal. And that top line for them started getting going finally. I mean, Konechny, I think, still hasn't scored. But it's funny. I hate the Islanders. I hate the Flyers. As a Ranger fan, I was like, you know what? I'm going to root for the Islanders this playoff because they're a New York team. And I had all good intentions of sticking with the Islanders the whole way. But then a lot of my jerk-off Islander friends start getting so cocky about the Islanders, and they start knocking the Rangers as they do it, that it makes me then just want them to start losing. So as much as I hate rooting for the Flyers, I'm going to root for the Flyers tonight, and then I'll decide on Game 7 who I want. But I definitely want a Game 7. And then the other series, Vegas Golden Knights up 3-2 to the Vancouver Canucks. What do you like there?
Thatcher Demko's been pretty good for Vancouver.
That was his one game, last game, yeah.
Yeah.
That was his first game.
Yeah. But I'm going with Vegas. Vegas is going to win the series. I'm not sure about tonight, but they're going to win the series. And, Canucks, they're so good. I know you kept talking about them last week, but
yeah.
Look at like Pedersen, and they're just so deep. They're fun to watch. I just think Vegas has it this year to make it to the Cup.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it stinks for me because I love the Canucks. But my Pama Pro partners here, the Nijar family, they're minority owners in the Golden Knights, and we have big affiliation with them. So I got to be rooting for Vegas. Yeah. But I wish Canucks weren't the ones playing them. I love that Canucks team, and they're a good team for the future. I love JT Miller. I love Pedersen, who wears number 40 like me. I heard that's why he wears 40 actually. Besser, Horvat, Quentin Hughes. That team is so fun to watch, and I love watching them play. But I think Vegas they're just too deep. I didn't realize how big Vegas was. I mean, Patrick Sharp said the other night they might be the biggest team in the league. And they have so many players. It just shows you, like, you see these names like Pacioretty and Stone and Stastny and like so many good players. And that's what happens when you're an expansion team. You grab guys from all different teams, right?
Riley Smith.
Yeah, Riley Smith, who's 1,000 times better than his brother on the Rangers.
Marchessault.
Yeah. Marchessault's nasty. Carlson. Yeah, they're such a good team. I think Vegas, Tampa would be some Stanley Cup. I think whoever comes out of the Islander Flyers here is going to lose to Tampa no matter what. Yeah. But I don't know what the injury report is with Kucherov that got hurt with them. Hopefully he's not really hurt. But, that Tampa team is pretty dangerous too. But it's going to be fun. I've been loving these playoffs, and I'm looking forward to watch. I watched more Islander games this playoffs than I probably have watched the last 10 years of that team. So I'm hoping our boy Kevin Hayes can get a couple tonight.
Yeah, and what do you think is going to happen with that Colorado-Dallas series?
That's right. That's not even over yet. I like Colorado. I mean, I still do. I think Dallas has hung around, and then Colorado, Dallas hung around last series, and they came out on Colorado. Now Colorado's come back, and I think Dallas let them slip back in. And I don't know. I don't really like Dallas that much. I like watching. I love McKinnon. I think he's one of the best players in the league, if not the best right now. I love that Maker kid.
Makar.
Landeskog. They're just a fun team. They're fast. So I would go with Colorado winning that.
I think Dallas is going to end up pulling it out if they get their goalie situation together. But Colorado is just so good offensively.
Is it Game 7 now, that series, right? It's going to 7?
Yeah.
But,
I just like Dallas's team. They're just so well-rounded, defense to forwards. They just got to figure out their goaltending, next game.
Well, even Colorado, they lost their starting goalie, right? I mean, that hurt them.
Yeah.
But I really like on Colorado, that Girard guy on defense.
Yeah.
He's really good.
Yeah.
And Graves, too. I mean, he came from the Rangers organization, obviously. He's a good deal. I like their team, Colorado. And McKinnon's so fun to watch.
Best player, man. So good. He's powerful. His strides are just so powerful. His shots powerful. Everything about him is just explosive. Just so fun to watch.
I'm not a big fan of Corey Perry, so I just like to see him lose. He just seems like a tool to me out there. I don't like him too much. I like Pavelski. Sagan to me, I don't know if he's overrated. I don't really see him doing much out there. To me personally, out there, like you look at a McKinnon or something, I think he blows him away. Like it's not
Yeah,
even close to me.
not even
Um,
close. Not even in
but
the same category.
no. And then Klingberg's real good on defense, though. I like him. So
That's
yeah, it's gonna be. I love these games, at close games. So hopefully we'll have some good hockey tonight, and we'll go for a Flyer win tonight, and Vegas Golden Knights win. So
I'm cool either way. Game sevens are fun.
Right.
I don't have a dog in the fight, so more hockey the better.
As a coach, though, I will say what I love about the Islanders is Barry Trotz is an example of, like, I love when we'll hear parents say something like, "Oh, do they need a coach on the bench? Because they know what they're doing. Like, they don't really need a coach," or even in the Palma Pro division, or like, do you need coach it? Like, and it's NHL just proves right there, even at the highest level, coaching still matters. And Barry Trotz has totally changed that team around, the Islanders,
Yeah.
and taken them from being just an average team and putting a system in place defensively. And they suffocate teams. They got good goaltending. They're not really ultra talented, I don't think, offensively, but they got the Barzell, they got Bailey, they've got Pavilier. I think Brock Nelson's very underrated and stuff. He always seems like he scores a goal every time the Rangers play him. And I think that Pajot guy is such a pickup for them. I mean, he's such a goal scorer, man. He's money, So they got talent, but they're so good defensively, and the goaltending's good, and just so well coached that I love seeing that with the Islanders, how much coaching has made a difference for them.
Yeah, no, Trotz has been so good, and for the Islanders, and their system's pretty flawless when it's on. So they're going to be a tough team to beat.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, well, that's all for today. I want to thank you guys for listening to State Wars Hockey Podcast, Glass Half Full Productions. This is Tim McManus signing off with the mayor, Greg Thompson. Have a good day, guys.
Take care.